The Desert Healthcare District and Foundation presents a podcast that supports your health and wellness where you live. This is Healthy Desert, Healthy You, hosted by Will Dean. Now, here's Will.
Hello, friends.
Hi.
Hi, Karrie. So you heard her. My guest is Karrie Schaaf, who is Executive Director of Friends of the Children Coachella Valley, a relatively new nonprofit organization here in the desert. Welcome, Karrie.
Thank you. You said hello, friends, so I just assumed it was me because of Friends of the Children, so that's my fault.
I want to talk about this mentoring program. I think many of our listeners are familiar with Big Brothers, Big Sisters, that type of youth mentoring program. How is Friends different than those programs?
Great question. So first of all, love those organizations. My son had a Big when he was younger, so huge fan of Big Brothers, Big Sisters. We're similar in the sense that we pair young people with a mentor. But where we're different is we only select children between the ages of 4 and 6. And the reason is we walk alongside them and their families for 12 years. We are committed once we enroll a family to walk that journey all the way through high school graduation, no matter what. So that's a difference. We're committing to 12 years plus, no matter what. And we provide 4 hours every single week in the classroom and in the community. So they're getting about 16 hours every month with their mentor. And our mentors are not volunteers. They're paid professional mentors. That's our full-time job.
So let me get this clear. So the mentor is in the classroom?
Yes.
Oh, wow.
Yes. So we are very holistic. And you think about children spend a majority of their day in the classroom, right?
Yep.
So we are lucky to have phenomenal school partners. So we're partnered with Coachella Valley Unified School District and Desert Sands. So we spend on average 2 hours a week in the classroom and then 2 in the community. So we work with the teachers, school counselors, therapists. What are the goals for that child? So maybe they're struggling academically in math. Maybe it's social emotional. Maybe they're being bullied on the playground. That determines where the mentor spends the time. Is it in the classroom? Is it on the playground?
So just what you've said about the 12 years starting at 4 or 6 years old, already I'm thinking that's so impactful. Those are the very early formative years. And then being with the child throughout all of that, throughout schooling. So I want to talk a little bit about Friends. I understand there's a national network, Friends chapters. Tell me how and when this chapter started.
Okay, so I always say that I got the golden ticket when I was hired to be the executive director because Friends of the Children is a national model that's been doing this work for 33 years.
Okay.
So everybody in the nonprofit world knows the data, the grants, the funding, the what works, what doesn't, what are the best practices. I walked into an organization that said, here you go, here's the best practices. Here's our funding model. Here's what's worked. And I have now 44 other chapters. So there's a total of 45 Friends of the Children chapters across the United States. I have 44 other Friends chapters to lean on. How did you do this? We're running into this issue. How did you overcome this? So I have a national model that is true and tried. And then I have 44 other executive directors and chapters to lean in on. So we started December of 2024. We selected our first 11 children. And then the final 13 of that cohort started March of 2025. So just over a year we've been doing this work. And it's amazing what we've seen already in the transformation with the youth and their families.
That is incredible. 11 families already being impacted by this program.
24 altogether now. So
24.
Yep.
Okay.
So we did the final 13 in March. So 24 we've been serving for just over a year.
Okay.
And we just started our second cohort. So we've enrolled another 11 and we're interviewing the rest of the family. So we'll have another total of 48 kiddos on our roster.
Wow. This is such important work. And I can tell by the way you speak about it that you love it.
Absolutely. With everything into me, I get a little excited. People are like, calm down, calm down. I can't calm down. What we're seeing already, like I said, in just this year is incredible. These kids look like they've grown 2 inches. Just the confidence that they exude, knowing that now they're able to problem solve, to read, to teach their parents English. These are 4, 5, and 6-year-olds, Will. Like they are empowered and to see their confidence. Maybe the parents had to prioritize different things around the house and maybe a haircut wasn't on the top of the agenda. We have amazing community partners. We're bringing kids in for haircuts. We're getting them shoes that fit. So I look at them and I'm like, have you grown? But I think it's just their confidence. So what we've seen in a year is amazing. What's going to happen the next 11 plus years? Like it is so exciting to me.
It's very exciting. Tell me about the eligibility requirement. How do you select the children?
Good question. So we have a risk factor sheet, and we send that out to the school staff and to our county partners, Riverside County, and they fill out this form and identify, here's some risk factors. Maybe it's the community in which a family lives in. Maybe a parent has recently passed away. Maybe their caregiver was incarcerated, whatever the risk factors are. And then we meet with them, we meet with the teachers, our staff go into the classrooms and we do observations. We say, is this a classroom management issue, or is there something that we can help that parent and that, or that caregiver and the child to get through? Can we work on these generational traumas or barriers that the families have experienced? Are they a good fit? We want a family who has every risk factor checked. We want to make generational change in Coachella Valley. So we do that assessment. We look at ACE scores. So if they have a high ACE score, meaning the parent themselves went through some challenges, maybe they were in foster care, maybe they grew up in a family where a parent was incarcerated or had addiction issues. So it's a lot of different factors. And then it's the interview with the family. I am saying we are going to commit as Friends of the Children to walk alongside you and your child for 12 years. Are you ready to make that commitment back? So this is voluntary. So the parent has to say, okay, wait a minute, what does that involve? It sounds good. So then we break it down. We're going to spend 4 hours every week with your child. We're going to be there if you need support with employment, with housing stability, finding a livable wage job. So they have to understand it's a two-way street. We're not here to be the parent. We're here to coach you, provide resources for you, to cheer on you and your child, to help you with parenting, help you maybe engage with the school. Sometimes we see school relationships aren't really strong, so we help build that bridge. And now we've got parents responding to teachers, showing up for conferences, for award ceremonies. It's amazing what's happened in the last year.
It is amazing, and you're so involved in the family life. What does that require to be a volunteer? Is there a lot of training?
Okay, so people ask me, what volunteer opportunities do you have? And
I guess it's not a volunteer, it's a mentor.
So our mentors are paid professional, right. But I never say no to a volunteer. We were a team of 6. We just hired our 3 next paid professional mentors, so we're a team of 9 now.
Okay, congratulations.
Thank you. But this work is huge. We're not just walking alongside these soon-to-be 48 young people. It's also their families. So that's roughly 120 per cohort. So we're going to have a couple hundred people that we're walking through this journey of life with. We can't do that with just 9 people. I'm not an expert in how to crochet, how to sing songs, how to play the piano, whatever people's passions are. So when people say, what volunteer opportunities do you have? I say, well, what do you enjoy? Do you have a special talent? Is there something you aspired to be as a little boy and you'd love to be able to teach that to the 6 and 7-year-old? So we have people that have come in to teach music classes, that are teaching arts and crafts. We have people that are coming in to work with our caregivers. I want to teach them about budgeting. We're finding partners that say a parent is interested in changing careers. Okay, can they job shadow you for a day? So there's a lot of really creative ways for me to utilize volunteers as well.
So this goes back to what you told me before we started recording, is that you are a connector.
Yes.
So you're connecting families to all the different services, support that they need.
Exactly.
So for the paid mentors, there is an extensive training program?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. So we have our own training with Friends of the Children, and that's the other golden ticket with our national model, is they have a week-long New Friends training. So they go through everything from what is it like to be a mentor, what are some challenges you might face in the classroom, working with teachers. Teachers have different rules or expectations, mandated reporting, sexual harassment. So there's tons of training, equity and diversity trainings that are offered, whatever they might need to be successful as a mentor. National provides that. But then we also go through the trainings within the school district. So each district has their own training requirements, background checks, and then ongoing training. There's always an opportunity to train or to further someone's understanding or knowledge, but we may see an influx in fentanyl use in our community. I need to make sure that my mentors who are in the classroom and in the families' homes understand warning signs, how to protect themselves, how to educate their caregivers around fentanyl use. So we've done fentanyl trainings. We have worked with some of our amazing Indigenous partners, and we have a national training model and a national part of Friends of the Children that works with our tribal and Native families. So we get to have our families and our mentors trained from our national model so that we can learn more about the communities in which we're on. We're on Kuya land. We want to understand the communities that we're serving and the land that we're on.
So how do families get involved exactly? I think we touched on this, but...
So we're open to any sort of referral. The big requirement is they have to be between the ages of 4 and 6. So if someone's 7 and somebody says, oh, the 7-year-old would be so great, I'm like, yes, I'm sure they would. Talk to me about them. So they'll explain why they wanted to refer them. So it sounds amazing, sounds like they need support, but they're not qualified for our program. But let me find somebody that we can refer you to.
Okay.
So we may refer to Big Brothers Big Sisters or Boys and Girls Club. So those that fall within the 4 to 6 age group, we do that assessment with them. What are the risk factors? Then we interview the teachers and the staff at the school, then the families. We observe them in the classroom. So referrals can come from the county, from Child Protective Services.
Right.
Maybe they want to be preventative. They see the families facing some barriers and think, oh, if they had a mentor in their life, it may prevent an out-of-home placement. Or a classroom teacher is seeing some attendance issues. I think there's something else going on. Let me make a referral. So referrals can come from school, can come from community partners, and we've had parents self-refer their child.
Oh, wow. So what are you hearing from the families, the parents who are involved in this program?
If you follow us on social media, Friends of the Children Coachella Valley, you will see we are sharing some videos. We did some interviews with our caregivers and with our mentors.
Fantastic.
So what I love about the 2 parents that were interviewed, and thank gosh you can't see me because I'm going to probably start crying. It's so moving. Gosh. Sorry.
It's okay. Take your time.
Some of these families, they've been through some really difficult times, right? So when we say we're going to be there for 12 years, we're going to be there for 12 years. So some of these families haven't had somebody, no matter what, walk alongside them. So in the beginning, some families may push back. They're about to leave. They're not really about 12 years. And when they start seeing, wow, they really mean what they say, and they're here no matter what. I may have fumbled this opportunity with the job they shared with me or whatever it was. They're not going anywhere. Like, they can't scare us off. So these parents sharing in the beginning, I didn't really trust this organization, seemed a little too good to be true. So one of the parents shares her journey. I thought it sounded great, but I don't know these people. I don't know if I want to sign up for it. So we talked about, what are your fears? Why don't you feel comfortable with this program? My child's 5. I'm just supposed to send him out the door with a complete stranger. We said, why don't you come along? So we have parents who come on the outings with us, who go to the Coachella Valley Library, who come to our clubhouse in Indio. And then they start to say, okay, this is really amazing. Or now I really trust Mr. Q, who's one of our mentors. I trust Miss Belinda, who's one of the mentors. And then they start allowing the families to go on trips. And it's just so touching. This is the part that gets me choked up when I think about both parents. They describe the relationship with the mentors. Friends of Children has become part of our family. And that is an honor to have our mentors called Tia, or this is Uncle Q. That's huge to be welcomed into their families. We know the journeys that they've been on with what they've shared with us. And to know that we've now established that trust, that's a beautiful thing. So if you get a chance, the parents say it much more eloquently than I do. But listening to the parents talk about Mr. Q's become part of the family. Miss Marbella, she's part of the family. She got invited to the princess party that one of her little girls have. So to see the photos, if you're following us on social media, you'll see the powerful photos. A child's smile can tell the story way better than I can.
On Facebook, Instagram?
Facebook, Instagram, and LinkedIn.
What about your organization? You're based primarily in the Eastern Coachella Valley?
As of right now.
As of right now. Tell me about the plan.
Yes, I have a big plan. I need lots and lots of money to be able to expand across the valley. And we have a clubhouse in Indio. And now with our 48 kids, we're going to be really tight. So come next year, because the plan is we grow exponentially every year. We hire new paid professional mentors every year. We bring on more kids because we always have a wait list. And we can only serve a certain number of kids. So I need to keep raising money, keep hiring more mentors. And we're going to need to grow our space. So the plan will be to continue doing amazing work on the east side of the valley, but then also look at raising funds to be able to serve all of Coachella Valley. Because right now we're just Desert Sands and Coachella Valley Unified. My hope is to be able to raise money and be in Palm Springs Unified soon.
Can you share with our listeners exactly what it costs to, say, bring on one mentor for one child?
Great question.
Or do the mentors have more than one child? Or
yes,
is it, okay.
They have a total of 8 on their roster because the commitment is 4 hours a week with each of the kids on the roster. And then they need a few hours to do paperwork or the great training that we offer. They have a roster of 8 kids.
Okay.
And we gender match. So our male mentor has the 8 male youth. And then we hope that they'll walk alongside them through the whole 12 years, though we know transition happens. But the lifespan for a mentor nationally is about 5 years that mentors stay in those positions. The cost it's an interesting question that you asked, because we were just talking about it yesterday as we're applying for a grant, that please put all the energy out that we get this new grant. What does it cost for one child? So we're still formulating that. I don't have an exact answer because we just had a year in, but a salary for one mentor with fringe benefits is around $100,000. So if you think about for them to have the staff person that does the 4 hours a week, that works with their caregivers, connects them with resources, is about $100,000. And then it's admissions to museums. It's mileage reimbursement to take them back and forth to Tai Chi class or whatever class that they're involved in. So, it's a little more than that, but I am working on a formula and I'll get you the exact answer probably by the end of the week because of the application we're putting together. But great question, but around $100,000 per mentor who then serves 8 kids.
All right. Exciting. So you're looking for more support. And I know that you have received a great deal of support in the community already. Talk a little bit about that. I believe you're going to be the beneficiary of an event in May.
Yes.
Tell us about that.
Yes. So we have so many good things coming up. So backing up to 2024, before I was even hired, Friends of the Children doesn't say, I would love to serve Coachella Valley. They're invited into communities. So we are such a beautiful community that we have people who don't live here full time, and they have resources to be able to give back and to see some really great things happen in the community. So we were lucky where we have a group of funders, I call them my seed funders, and they live in another community that has had Friends of the Children for 15 years, 20 years, 25 years, and they support Friends of the Children in other states. Then they come here seasonally and they're like, wouldn't it be great if there was a Friends of the Children here? So in 2024, they talked to our national people and said, hey, we see the great work happening in Portland or Bend, Oregon, or wherever that their other house is. How do we start a Friends of the Children here? And they said, comes down to money. If we can raise the money, if we see that there's a need here. So then National did this legwork, talking to school partners, talking to the county, talking to the seed funders. Can we raise this money to start a chapter? And is this sustainable? And they said, yes, there's the need. There's no question about that. But can we sustain the model? So the seed funders said, we know the benefits of this program. We know how 98% of the kids avoid teen pregnancy. 93% of the kids that have been in our program avoid juvenile justice intervention. So there's great data. So they said, okay, they didn't just talk about it. They wrote a check. Here's your money. So we had this incredible group of seed funders who raised the seed capital for us to be able to start this model. So they helped us for about the first 3 years to get things off and running. So now we're continuing to apply for grants. We just had an incredible inaugural fundraiser at the Shag House in February. If you missed it, please follow us on social again and don't miss our next one because it was a great time. And through these community partnerships, I met Ted Gibson, and they have this incredible health and beauty wellness convention coming up on May 3rd and 4th. And they have asked us to be the recipient, the nonprofit recipient of whatever they profit from this wellness conference. So Convergence coming up. If you haven't got your tickets, get your Convergence tickets. So I just love how the community is rallying around us. It's really quite beautiful.
Absolutely. That's May 3rd and 4th of 2026.
Yes.
And for our listeners who want to learn more, where can they do that?
Following us on all the social platforms. If you go to our website, Friends of the Children Coachella Valley, you're able to sign up for our newsletter. We do a monthly newsletter that comes out, highlights the great stories, shouts out all of our donors and community partners. But following us on social media, it will be worth your follow because the kids' smiles that you get to see every day in the stories and just the growth that we're seeing within our families, within the young people, the award ceremonies. These kids were referred because they were missing so much school. Now they're getting perfect attendance awards. Now they're master readers of their English class. So it's incredible to see the growth. And like I said, I am so excited to see what's going to happen for the next 11 years. So please follow us on social media, sign up for our newsletter.
FriendsCoachellaValley.org.
Yes.
Karrie, thank you for being such a great advocate for children. We need more advocates.
Thank you. Thank you for all you do.
Appreciate you.
Thank you.
Be well, everyone.
Thank you for joining us on this episode of Healthy Desert, Healthy You. This podcast is a production of the Desert Healthcare District and Foundation in Palm Springs, California. For more information, please visit the website dhcd.org. Our annual conference site is healthydesert.healthyu.com. This podcast is available at most major podcast portals, including Amazon Music, Apple Podcasts, Audible, Captivate.fm, Spotify, and YouTube Music. Thanks for listening. Be sure to subscribe.